Florida is known for its sandy beaches, its theme parks, its beautiful wildlife, massive oak trees with Spanish moss, alligators, and manatees. But Florida is also known for something far more destructive: hurricanes. Nearly every year, Florida is hit by multiple major hurricanes. This has been the case for thousands of years. Native Americans in Florida survived storms by constructing massive shell mounds that were up to 20 feet tall to protect them from storm surge and flooding. Hurricanes have repeatedly reshaped Florida's history. In 1843, a powerful hurricane formed in the Gulf and slammed into the Big Bend region of the Florida Territory. Entire communities were devastated, and multiple port towns would disappear from the map. The Red Hills region of North Florida and South Georgia is different from the rest of Florida, which is mostly flat with sandy soil that has little organic matter and drains water rather quickly. The Red Hills region, spanning for over 430,000 acres, is mostly made up with fertile red clays, iron-rich soils, rolling hills, and ravines. America took control of Florida in 1821 after the First Seminole War. Spain ceded Florida in the Adam-Oyens Treaty in 1819. The area's fertile soil quickly attracted plantation owners from Georgia, the Carolinas, and other southern states. They brought large amounts of wealth into the region. Large plantations were built throughout the Red Hills region. Pine forests were cleared, transforming the region into vast fields of cotton. By the 1830s, cotton had completely shaped the area's economy. Often referred to as King Cotton, cotton was in demand in textile mills across the United States and Europe. Leon County, Florida was a hub of cotton production from the 1820s to 1860s. Middle Florida produced 80% of Florida's cotton crop in the 1840s, producing thousands of bales of cotton annually. The cotton was picked on the plantations, then shipped to Tallahassee. From Tallahassee, they were sent by wagon or by train to the port towns to the south. Construction of the Tallahassee Railroad began in 1834 from Tallahassee. It reached St. Marks in 1836. A bridge was built over the St. Marks River, and the railroad was extended to Port Leon in 1839. The railroad bypassed the port town of Magnolia, causing a large number of residents to flock to the new city. From the port towns, the cotton was loaded onto ships and sent to the East Coast or Europe. The area had multiple port towns, all based on the export of cotton. St. Marks was founded by the Spanish in 1679, originally known as San Marcos de Apalachee. It was centered around the Spanish fort. In 1828, a lighthouse was commissioned for St. Marks. Parts of the St. Marks River and Apalachee Bay were shallow, leading to many ships running aground. The lighthouse was completed in 1831, but erosion threatened the new lighthouse. It was dismantled and rebuilt in 1842 at a safer location. Ellen Call Long wrote about St. Marks in the 1830s.
A quaint little village, amphibious-like, consisting of a few dwelling houses, stores, etc., mostly built on stilts or piles, as if ready to launch when wind or tide prevailed.
The town of Magnolia was established in 1827 by four brothers, whose family owned a large textile mill in Maine. They founded the town specifically for the export of cotton. The town consisted of 34 blocks filled with homes, stores, warehouses, and a hotel. In 1829, a U.S. Customs House was built in Magnolia. The Tallahassee Railroad bypassed the town in 1836, reaching the town of St. Marks a few miles to the southwest. Even though the railroad was crude and at first it used mules to pull the rail cars, this was enough to force most of the residents to move to either St. Marks or Port Leon. The Customs House was also moved to St. Marks in the 1830s. Port Leon was established in 1837, a few miles south of St. Marks across the St. Marks River. Most of its residents were originally from Magnolia. By 1839, around 30 to 40,000 bales of cotton were being sent to the ports from the Red Hills region each year. A post office was established in 1840, and the town was incorporated in 1841. The town had a hotel, 2 taverns, general stores, a newspaper, post office, and warehouses. The town had a population of about 450 people. In 1841, a yellow fever epidemic ravaged the town for months, killing 139 residents. The town's population was in the 200s by 1843. Rock Haven was another port town that thrived during the 1830s and 40s. It served the Red Hills region. It was the northernmost port town, but little is known about this town except for its location from maps of the era. By 1843, the economy was booming. But that was about to change. Somewhere in the Gulf, a monster hurricane had formed and was aiming directly for Middle Florida. On September 13, 1843, the hurricane made landfall. Winds began to pick up that morning, but by afternoon, the weather seemed to improve. By midnight, storm surge flooded up the St. Marks and Wakulla rivers. Magnolia was hit by 10-foot storm surge. Most of the buildings that were left were severely damaged. Port Leon was hit the hardest. The 10-foot storm surge either damaged or destroyed every structure in the town. The railroad bridge over the St. Marks River was pushed upriver. Surprisingly, only 1 person died in Port Leon. St. Marks, just a few miles upriver, suffered a similar fate. Most of the town was severely damaged or destroyed. The St. Marks Lighthouse saw the most loss of life. 13 to 14 people were killed at the lighthouse. The lighthouse keeper's dwelling, along with all the other outbuildings, were completely destroyed, but the tower survived. News traveled slower in those days. Newspapers in Florida printed stories within a day or two, but the New York Herald didn't print about the hurricane until September 28th, 15 days after the hurricane made landfall. Some of the stories are haunting.
One of the most dreadful hurricanes we ever remember to have occurred on this continent passed over Florida on the 13th, destroying buildings, lives, and property to an immense amount. The town of Port Leon has almost been swept from the face of the earth. We give below all the particulars of this disaster that have reached us. They are heart-rending enough. From the Port Leon Gazette of September 15th, our city is in ruins. We have been visited by one of the most horrible storms that ever before devolved upon us to chronicle. On Wednesday, about 11 o'clock a.m., the wind commenced blowing fresh from the southeast, bringing up a high tide, but nothing alarming. At 5 p.m., the wind lulled and tide fell, the weather still continuing lowering. At 11 at night, the wind freshened and tide commenced flowing, and by 12 o'clock it blew a perfect hurricane and the whole town inundated. The gale continued with unabated violence until 2 o'clock, the water making a perfect beach 10 feet deep over our town. The wind suddenly lulled for a few minutes and then came from southwest with redoubled violence and blew till daylight. Every warehouse in the town was laid flat with the ground except one, Hamlin and Snell's, and a part of that also fell. Nearly every dwelling was thrown from its foundation, and many of them crushed to atoms. The loss of property is immense. Every inhabitant participating in the loss more or less. None have escaped, many with only the clothes they stand in. St. Mark's suffered in the like proportion with ourselves, but our losses are nothing in comparison with that at the lighthouse. Every building but the lighthouse gone, and dreadful to relate, 14 lives lost, and among them some of our most valued citizens. We cannot attempt to estimate the loss of each individual at this time, but shall reserve it until our feelings will better enable us to investigate it. From the Tallahassee Star of Florida, extract from a letter dated Bel Air, near Tallahassee, September 17th. We have been visited by a most dreadful hurricane, far more destructive than the one of last year, for by this many lives have been lost, whereas with the other, the greatest injury was to the crops. On Wednesday, the 13th, we had, about 12 o'clock, quite a heavy rain when it held up, and to all appearance looked as if it would clear off. In fact, it was so pleasant that at 4 o'clock, Rebecca, Jane, Richard, and myself rode 5 miles to where I had 2 hands digging limestone. The sun went down clear with a beautiful rainbow at the east, with all signs for fair weather the next day. But how short-sighted is man when he knoweth not what a season may bring forth. For by 12 o'clock that night the wind increased with rain from northeast, and by 3 o'clock very few expected a house would be standing at daylight. But to our great joy from that time the wind gradually subsided, and by sunrise we were in a calm, with no very serious loss to any of the citizens of Bel Air. The greatest injury the storm has done, the cotton, is by the trees thrown down on it. We did not have a great deal of cotton open at the time, not more perhaps than 5 to 10 bags, but what was open is lost. We have not more than 4 to 5 bags picked in, and had just put all the women picking. There has been nothing yet heard from St. Joseph's and Apalachee Bay, but those who are acquainted with the situation of the places are fearful that they must have suffered severely.
The hurricane had completely destroyed Port Leon. The remaining residents packed anything that could be salvaged and started the new town of Newport. Magnolia was also abandoned. The town was already failing before the hurricane hit. St. Mark's was heavily damaged but survived the storm and still exists to this day. The unnamed hurricane of 1843 wiped 2 towns off the map, Port Leon and Magnolia. Rock Haven was also abandoned around the same time, but it is difficult to find accurate information about the damage suffered during the storm. The 3 towns suffered the same fate, and little remains to this day. The area still struggles with storm surge. Recent major hurricanes to hit the Big Bend region were Hurricane Michael in 2018, Hurricane Idalia in 2023, and Hurricane Helene in 2024. I want to thank y'all for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you on the next. Peace.